Hey, what is going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video, My Sports Gematria. I have finally done it. My goal I posted about on July 4th, 10 picks away from 1,000 picks on my Patreon page. I was supposed to hit this goal at the end of March, but because sports were canceled, so was my goal. I had to postpone it basically until I had enough games, and finally, thanks to UFC and boxing and experimenting with Korean baseball and other stuff, I finally passed the 1,000 benchmark. I've only been on Patreon for 8 months, and I've made over 1,000 picks. Um, this is what I have here. So I'm at 1,002 picks, 638 wins, 364 losses for an overall 63% win ratio. Broken down individually by sport, but I'm super excited that I finally hit that. It took me way longer than I wanted to just because of the whole Corona shutdown, but I surpassed it and I'm on my way to 2,000 picks. For those who haven't been following me since the start, I started my YouTube page, My Sports Gematria, back in September. I started off with NFL, MLB. I shared my copy and paste system, did some MLB, some NFL, took on some UFC. But as I was doing this, I even showed my method, proved my method using the scientific method. And as I was making these videos, I would even post my betting slips inside these videos, but I'd still get comments and messages from people that are like, yeah, right, these aren't your wins, these aren't your results, bullshit, blah, 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 blah. You know, Seeing is believing, and even though they were seeing it, they just weren't believing it. And so right around here is when I started doing, I made a Patreon. So it was at the end of November of 2019. So 8 months ago, 9 months ago, I did a Patreon. And when I started off on my Patreon, I did free picks all the way up until December 30th. I made 249 free sports picks for 34 days straight. 166 wins, 83 losses. And that's when I started to really focus on my Patreon page. And from then on out, I still made videos for everybody with basketball, college football, different weird stuff here and there. I did XFL, I did all the XFL games, the slam dunk contest, just doing some things here and there, sharing some knowledge and some habits that can be destructive for you. Did horse racing here recently. But yeah, I'm just excited that I finally passed 1,000 picks. So I'm at 1,002 picks as of July 13th, 2020. I've been in business for officially for 8 months on the World Wide Web. But the thing I also want to show you is that you don't have to pay to my Patreon page. So let me see here. So this is my Patreon page, My Sports Gematria. This is where I do picks. And I'm starting to do video format as well. I'm slowly easing that in where I'd make videos of picks before it starts to give people an idea, of where my head's at before I make the pick. But I want you guys to know that I created a playlist here on my YouTube page. And this video is going to be included because this is lesson number 45. But if you go to my playlist here, you'll have all my lesson videos in one playlist. And if you're somebody who's new to Sports Gematria, if you go through this playlist from video 1 all the way to video 45, there's no reason for you not to be just as good as me, if not better, when it comes to sports picks and using Gematria. In these videos, first of all, it's 100% free. I spell out my complete method from start to finish in a lot of these videos. You're visibly seeing my system for free. and my thought process when making the pick, or how I made the pick, or why I made the pick. And it ranges from different sports, from MLB to NFL to UFC to college football to college basketball. I even talk about Lesson 29 video. I actually talk about my history in sports picks. So I've actually been doing this for 4 or 5 years. And when I made this video back in October, November, I had up until that point before I made my Patreon, I did over 4,000 picks and I was at a 61% win ratio after making 4,000 picks in the last 4 years. Well, if you add this on top of the Patreon that I've already done, now I'm over 5,000 picks as of right now. And I'm still operating above a 60% win ratio. And has been going on for 4 years straight for me. So if you watch it, and here's another good video, lesson 30, learn how I do the Hebrew calendar. I get asked that a lot, Hebrew calendar, Hebrew date numerology. I have tips here for sports bettors, how to differentiate yourself from being a pro and an amateur sports bettor. What are the key differences between a pro bettor and an amateur? And which one are you? And there's one down here, lesson 43, three destructive habits when decoding. That's a good video to watch, especially if you're new. That way you don't formulate any bad habits over time. Um, but I do want to give a huge thank you to everyone who's been following me, a huge thank you for everyone who's been supporting me. You're not required to sign up for my Patreon. You are if you want sports picks at this point. But like I said, you can literally go through this whole entire lesson playlist and copy what I do verbatim, and you'll do just as good as I am, if not better. So, yeah, I'm excited. Thousands, thousands picks, 1,002. Where was that at? Oh yeah, let's go to posts, draft. So getting ready for this week's matches. Yeah, 1,002 picks overall, 638 wins. Broken down individually by sport: NBA, NFL, UFC, MLB, college basketball, college football, XFL, which we're never going to see again, unfortunately. 70% for their first and only season. KBO, man, that was a tough experiment. Basically a coin flip. Not a big fan of Korean baseball. Doing some boxing. Um, NHL, zero. Only did one game, so I need to do more of that. But, yeah.